Here I am. Hello, hello. Woo! On with the show. Oh, I just had some most delicious lunch. Yes, Max, where are you going? Hello, 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 hello. I am here singing my song. That's right. What a wonderful day it is to be alive. Any day you're alive. Even if it's not feeling so wonderful, it's a wonderful day to be alive. And we're here to gather and celebrate and appreciate and give some shout outs to others because sharing is caring. And all of it is excellent for taming your tension, for relieving that accumulated stress, for releasing some of the static from the week and freshening up for the weekend. Not everybody has a weekend coming up on the weekend days. And it's not Friday for everybody. That's why Yay Day started, because it was a Friday evening here in California for me, but it was already Saturday in other places. And they were, social Saturdays started on Friday afternoon, evening. So I made it Yay Day because we could all use more yay in every day, right? Hooray! and I created it as a less serious, LinkedIn business, all about this, that, and the other. No, it's just a place to come and have fun and unwind, and everybody is welcome to hop on stage. What's this? Squirrel. Let me check in with the different apps and make sure that I'm live here. And I've been having a lot of difficulties with Restream. If you saw Taming Your Tension today, it was delayed again due to my Galaxy Book or Restream, or the combination of the two. And the quality was really crappy because I had to go live from my phone. So I'm not very happy about that. And let's see, that's the way it goes. But at least I was able to go on with the show. As I mentioned. Oh, look, there I am. Yay, I'm live. Let's stop that so there's not that echo. I'm just kind of rambling at you while I wait to see if some folks show up. There we go. There's nobody in the chat, so maybe nobody's here today. Dwight is supposed to be popping on to talk about his books. He's got a series of 6. I was looking at them, and I bought one on Kindle last night, but it's not showing up for some reason. Another tech issue. Has anybody else noticed since the eclipse a lot of tech delays and things? I don't know if it's related or not, but we could equate it in our brain, and then it's related if we think it is. Because that's how the brain works. We create our reality, right? Our beliefs, our thoughts create our reality. And all right, here we are. I am indeed live on YouTube. And let's see. Woo! I ate too fast, I think. I have a packed full day. I'm super excited. If you were here last week, you met a whole bunch of the authors from Rattled Awake 2, Volume 2 of the Rattled Awake anthology series that it had just released on October 8th. So I had a bunch of them here to come together and celebrate. That's a major accomplishment. And then I jumped in for Volume 3. The writing workshop is this weekend, and I'm super excited about that. There we go. I am indeed live on LinkedIn as well. Wow, my impressions and has tanked thanks to not spending 20 hours a week on LinkedIn. Go tend to other things and it just stops showing you to people. poof, you're gone. Or maybe it removes your profile. That happens too. It's unfortunate, the things that happen, which is why it's wise to have an email list. Please get on mine at start.tamingyourtension.com. That's right, start.tamingyourtension.com. You can also join the tension taming team right here with the Yay Team QR code. Woohoo! Hi, Lydia. I see you in the comments. And right now, it is my pleasure to bring to the screen Dwight Thompson. Woo! Yay! He made it. Welcome.
Pleasure.
Dwight.
How you doing? Thank you so much,
good.
Wendy. I am so stoked. I definitely appreciate this. Wow, this is so cool. Between technology and communication, my Lord. Happy Fri-YAY.
Woo!
Yay! Woo-hoo! That's
Oh,
good.
awesome. Lydia says the chat wasn't working, but it finally came online. So there's some folks in the comments, and I verified that we're live on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. So we are going out all over the globe on all the channels. Okay, not all the channels, but enough.
Enough. Exactly.
And I subscribe to your YouTube so that we are connected there. And I looked you up on the Kindle books because you said last week you mentioned that you're working on your 8th book.
That
right?
is correct.
That's what you dropped in the comments last week that brought you here to join us today to celebrate in a more visual way because there's your beautiful face. Yay! So why don't you tell me a little more about your journey than I learned from your brief bio blurbs on LinkedIn and Kindle and around and about.
Well, I like to say thank you again. Appreciate it. That my journey is about discovering myself. And in 2020, when COVID happened, I went from having a wonderful government job with Broward County to being top of the world, at least in my mind, to illness, homelessness, joblessness, and I had to find myself. And in finding myself and the journey, I discovered pivot. Now, is this looking correct way to you, or is it like a reverse mirror image? I hope you're seeing it correctly.
Oh, it looks reverse mirrored to me. See what it looks like. Oh, it hasn't showed up yet on LinkedIn because of the delay. There it is. Oh, it looks fine on this. Oh, you're holding it right now. There you go. Looks great. Pivot.
Okay. There we go. So what I realized is, and the summary of the book is, when things happen to us in our past, when we think about our traumas and our trials, and when we're faced with adversity, you can't restart, you can't reset. It's not a video game. What you have to do is find a way to pivot yourself and change a small adjustment to accept, embrace, and move into a new position with everything that has happened to you. So that was Pivot. And this is actually volume 1 of a book series I'm working on called Pine Cones and Spaceships. And this is actually 5 books combined together. So my first 5 books are captured in this one book. Yes, beautiful. And the audiobook is also out. It's about an hour and a half of me reading poetry and essays and short story. And it's like a memoir about my life and my journey to faith and mental health. So that's volume 1, the first 5 books. In April of this year, I came out with book 6. So this is my book of poetry. It's my travel poems, all the memories, all of the people I met, all of the interesting experiences I had. So this is my book of poetry. It's 30 poems, 150 pages, 10K words, and it has to do with life, community, the universe, faith, social media, your place in the world. And that's book 6. And I'm working on book 7 right now with the series. It's going to be an introduction to poetry. But in the meantime, because my daughter was always asking me for something that she could write in, I developed this. It's called Dwight Thompson's Workbook and Vision Journal. Now, as a disclaimer, I did not want to call it Dwight Thompson's Workbook and Vision Journal. However, After I developed the sixth book, Amazon gave me a warning saying that I couldn't use a similar cover, a similar concept, a similar name. So I end up saying, you know what? I need something that's unique and original. So here we go. So that's the hardcover. And this is the paperback.
Oh, nice.
And basically all it is I'm not sure why I made it so big, but I was like feeling generous. It's a lot of habit forming, daily affirmation writing prompts. So you can see it to the bottom. And my goal was, I met a lot of people who, when they saw or found out I wrote books, they were amazed. And everyone had a similar story. They would say, oh, when I was in high school, I wrote a poem, or I used to do essays, but now because of life, I don't have time. So I'm like, what would a person like that need? A person who basically, they get ready for work at 5 a.m., they get back home after picking up the kids and running errands at 7 p.m., they have lunch, and next thing you know, it's 9 o'clock and it's time to go back to bed. What do you do? So I made this with the idea of, well, here's what we're going to do. This is not a calendar diary. It's not about what you want to do. It's just to recapture your day. There's some habit forming tips in here. And I wanted folks to just write. So this one says, for example, appreciate the novelty. Just a thought. And you're supposed to think, what did I feel or experience or do today that was new, that was different? And then you write it down. There are no dates. There's no time, because that doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel and how you appreciate every single day. And so I designed this, and now I'm working on books 7 in the series, but book 8 overall. And my main goal in writing is, what I've discovered is, we are all connected. And the more we understand that our differences only highlight our commonality, the more we can be in tune and in tap with each other and treat each other with grace and with understanding. And in my faith, that is so important, because we are all, I'm trying to get visual here. Let me use this. So here we go. So we are all on a journey, and you could be at different places in the journey, but it's the same journey. Our duty is not to judge where someone is, even if we disagree, even if we think they're wrong, because we're all the same. And I'm a recovering foodie, so I compare it to, you never see the spices fighting each other. The salt saying I'm better than the pepper, or the curry saying I don't need any turmeric. It's each
How
one
they
is
come
different,
together.
but they all come together wonderfully in different amounts, different times. Like, you would not put curry powder into your cereal or your porridge.
Sometimes the way they come together doesn't work very well.
There we go. There we go.
Whether
So
we're
that's
talking about a family or a team or a community or a country or
Exactly. Exactly. And that is what our journey is about. We are going to meet the most amazing people. And on this journey for the past 3 years, I have met some wonderful people who, without knowing me, without knowing my family, they've reached out to me, they've talked to me, they've purchased my book. I've gone to farmers markets in the most random places. I've gone to libraries and bookstores, and they're like, hey, you have a book? Come and sell it, or I'll buy a copy. What's it about? You do poetry? Let's read some poetry.
Yes.
And that experience has led me to understand even more and reinforce that we are all connected. We just need more grace and more time.
Yes, I love it. And I had this question as well that Lydia just put in the comments for me to put up. And do you really ever recover from being a foodie? I mean, what's to recover from? You love food, and it brings joy to life, right?
So thank you, Lydia, for mentioning that. So there's levels to it. So I made a social media account back in 2018, 2019. It was called Food with a Real One. And I made another foodie account, and all I was doing was cooking and baking and frying and posting. And I was loving it. People were loving it. But I'm like, okay, this is too much. I was eating while watching the Food Network. I'm like, okay, this is too much food going on. I need to slow down on it. And so now, uh, my family and I, we actually stopped eating meat last year, August, as part of our journey. And I stopped eating bacon earlier this year. Because you know
hard
how
one.
a real, there we
Cheese
go.
and the bacon. The bacon for the vegetarians, the cheese for the vegans. They're the hardest to give up.
It's a problem. It's a problem. I always said, pizza is the number one food group. My former coworkers would tell you that, like, if there's a pizza party, I'm there.
Right.
But it's a journey, and so I believe that humanity, in order to be sustainable and in order to embrace our role in the ecosystem, we eventually have to get to a point of not eating sentient beings. However, because of our economy, because of the means, because of where we live, not everyone has that option. And unfortunately, I have lost a lot of vegan friends who are very adamant in insisting that if you don't quit eating meat today, you are against the world. And I always say, but we have to judge. If we do judge everyone based on the situation and circumstance, if you live in a city and you don't have funds to eat natural products and produce,
food deserts. They call them food deserts when
That's
the
correct.
only thing is the McDonald's or the Popeyes on the corner,
or the liquor store,
yeah, the liquor store. And it's fanaticism is not good, no matter
Never
what the
good.
cause is, because it's
Never good.
fanaticism, and life just isn't that easy. But
No, it's
it
not.
is,
It's a balance.
yes, it's there's a lot of movements happening to offset that, and I love the farmers markets that have been spreading, and the
Beautiful.
art gardens,
Those are
the
beautiful.
community gardens that have been spreading
Yes.
in communities that people just start, that lot's been there empty for so long, let's just start gardening it, right? And
Why not?
people coming
Exactly.
together to make it happen. But it is it's challenging to not get stuck in the muck, right? And to show up and to connect beyond just quote unquote connecting. Right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if cell phones count as connection, but what they do serve as, and this is why I love social media and cell phones, they are an icebreaker.
Mhm.
And when I was a part of Toastmasters, that was always the number one thing that you focused on. Now we have what we call the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
When you meet someone for the first time, what do you do and how do you introduce yourself for whatever value you want? And that ability to introduce yourself, social media is great for that, and the cell phone is great for that. I love the comment. Yeah, living in balance with nature is so complex. It's so complex. But the journey that we are on, and that's why I try to expound to everyone. And it's the same with faith. So I grew up as a Christian. I was able to spend some wonderful time with the Rastafarian community, and I studied world religion in college. Some of my best friends are atheists because we realize that no matter your belief system or your religious structure, we all have a commonality in our faith, and all faiths espouse the same thing. The fact that, there we go, always one love. The fact that for me, Jesus Christ is my center, and my belief system doesn't exclude anyone else's right to make a choice, because the number one tenet of Christianity is love everyone.
And all of the major religions, before they're permuted by people in power and trying to grasp for power, the message is love. And
always love. Now, the interpretation in our modern society can be tricky, but if you think about it, so for example, something as simple as not speaking out loud in anger, especially in public. Something as simple as if you're walking and you see a piece of litter on the floor, and you can pick it up, you know. So those small things, and I've been in places where I realize the choice is on the individual to make a decision. And I remember one time at a park, and someone's walking the dog without a little baggie, and the dog did his business, of course, and they were walking away, and someone said, "Hey, excuse me, I think your dog did his business. Do you have a bag?" And the person was like, "Oh, I forgot my bags." And the second person said, "Okay, I have an extra bag here." So that kind of interaction, no matter the reason why the outcome was pick up after the dog, no one steps in poop later on, and everyone is happy. So it took grace on the part of the person observing the owner and their dog, and it took grace on the part of the owner recognizing their error for whatever reason and taking the situation and making something happen. That's wonderful.
Instead of attacking and defending without taking that pause and being like, well, you never know what somebody's going through. It comes back to that, right? And having grace with ourselves. You talked about not speaking out in anger, but I talk a lot about monitoring those inside voices too, because that's where they start before they come blurting out of you. And this is the muscle to exercise the most.
That's a beautiful thing. And one of the things I always recommend, and for myself, and that's the reason why I wrote the journal the way I did. I didn't want anyone to feel the pressure of writing. Yeah. I'm a writer, and I know what it feels like to have a deadline to meet. Or
even the dates. You don't have the dates on there, and some people would feel bad about missing days or not. There's all these other layers of stuff that we can create as barriers for ourselves. And it's so nice to have just those prompts to start something. And whatever comes out is okay.
And sometimes we need that. Exactly. You might not pick this up for a whole month. Yeah. And then you go back and you're like, oh, I don't mind writing this. And that's it. Because the pressures we put on ourselves keeps adding up. And subconsciously, and that's another thing I always talk about, our mind, let me say it properly. Our brain is this big, right? The size of your skull. But your mind is infinite. So when you read something or observe something, what you see can be very limited to a square box, but your mind is processing everything. So the subconscious is so important because what you observe and what you put on your plate has weight. So sometimes you just want to be able to just chill, pick up a light book. So one of the things I'm working on for myself as a poet, I'm a sociatic writer, meaning I write about social issues a lot and consciousness and the effects of colonialism and globalism on the individual and, different aspects of our current socioeconomic structure, yada, yada, heavy stuff. My daughter says, I don't want to read your poems unless I have space to just relax afterward because your poems are too heavy.
Yeah, you have to have that. I mean, something you wrote about, some dialect you were using, like London, whatever. And it took me back to my days in New York City in the New Yorican Cafe, and a lot of the spoken word and events and things. And you've got to have those the pause, not only in delivery of arts, but also in the writing and in our own personal processing. The pause is so important. The digesting of the food, it's why we shouldn't be eating all night long, because your body needs that time to reset. There's so many, different applications for this.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. So one of the things I'm doing, I'm trying to write lighter, more lighthearted poetry, talk about
People
the
have shorter
butterflies.
attention spans too.
There we go. I'm trying to be everyone's poet, and one of my goals as a writer and as a publisher, because I started my own publishing house, is I want anyone to be able to grab any of my books at any point, any one of them, and randomly go to any page and like it and enjoy it.
I love that. We used to actually just create poetry like that, open a book and, read something like that. And it's so wonderful to have those snippets and to be able to put impactful social and cultural messages in there and integrate the message into a delivery system that's, it's like with vitamins. You can eat a vitamin and flush it out, or you can choose the ones that make the nutrients bioavailable, so that they are absorbed and integrated and
throughout the entire body. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, Max made an appearance. Lydia caught that. The star of the show.
I know, right?
Wonderful, juicy, delicious conversation, and so much about,
I know, and we haven't even touched on the business aspect. So that's one thing I am a huge proponent of. If you are an artist, so artists tend to be introverts, and even if you're not, you are practicing introvert, because to understand the outer, you have to focus on the inner. And business is so important. The struggling artist thing is a serious problem still. Art is so valued, but so disrespected at the same time. So
I know, right?
You will have, a big company will spend millions of dollars on a PR firm to make an ad for 30 seconds, where they'll hire artists to make this visually appealing, digitally masterful, amazing piece. But if you sell your book or your art for XYZ dollars, everyone's like, oh, that's too much money. So the business side of being an artist is so important. And that's why I spent my time during the pandemic learning book publishing, formatting documents, grant writing, business plan designs, and build. I'm like, we got to be able to make money from our knowledge and expertise.
Oh, frozen. Oh no, somebody didn't like that idea. He's talking about how we ought to be able to make money, and they shut him down. Oh yes, I am super excited, and I'll take this moment to shout out Lydia. On Tuesday, released the roundtable that I was a part of. I mentioned it last Fri-YAY and throughout the week. And you can find that at The Joyful Path on YouTube, right? Through the Flames of Grief, the roundtable with me and Sandra J. Wilson and Kim Martin Raymond and Joy Brooks, and of course, Lydia. So go check that out, and we'll see if Dwight comes back or not. Lost that connection. And go ahead and connect with him on the various platforms. I see here it has the Facebook and the Twitter and the WhatsApp and whatnot. So you can find him at the Right Warrior. The Right Warrior. There you go. That's his LinkedIn profile. He might be back. There he is. He's back. Hooray! Yes. And
okay,
Lydia
here
drops
we go.
The At the Joyful Path is the YouTube channel, so you can go catch those roundtables that are coming up. So Dwight is back. They didn't like you talking about how we should get paid, and they froze you.
So the crazy thing is, I am not a conspiracy theorist at all, but you have to observe the signs and the coinkydinkies, you know.
Notice, folks, and then laugh at it or get all conspiracy theory and crumple in fear. But it's your choice. I choose
Your
to
choice.
notice and laugh at it and be like, "Oh, that's interesting and amusing."
At the same
And
time, exactly. Back to
and
the
then I could
business.
write a whole science fiction story about it or something.
Come on now.
In 7th or 8th grade, when we had to do writing
Assignments, yeah.
prompts in the morning, every morning, and I found mine. I actually read them in performance in New York once, and they would be these intricate westerns or sci-fi adventures or whatever action adventures, but the goal would always be an Arby's roast beef super with extra horsey sauce. So
Why not?
I think I had a thing going on for that horsey sauce and the sandwich back then in the 70s or early 80s. Yeah, probably the early 80s. Yes, fun stuff.
I know. No, I love that story. I actually, one of my first, matter of fact, I have to either rewrite that story or find it. One of my first stories that I won a prize for in my island of St. Martin was we had a writing competition, and they said, "What would you do to show the importance of Christmas?" And the story I wrote, which is a brilliant idea, anyone can use the concept, is an alien from a different planet comes down and he abducts someone from the Caribbean, from my island, St. Martin, and he was like all boogeyman, like, "I'm going to destroy your planet unless you show me the value of Christmas." And then this little kid took the alien on a trip around the different places and showed how people celebrated Christmas. And that was a story
Wow.
concept, and that won me a prize. And that was one of my first contests. I think I was maybe 12 years old, possibly, but I think I'm going to rewrite that story now and try to capture. So one of the things I love to do is try to capture a time period. So I'm a little bit older now, so I'm going to try to rewrite that story.
We do that every minute of every day. We get a little bit older, right?
I'm going to try
Hopefully
to
wiser.
rewrite that story and capture that youthful exuberance, that young, bushy-tailed, wide-eyed experience of a child, not scared by an alien, but understanding the assignment and showing what Christmas is like. So
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love this whole I'm getting back into writing. I wanted to go to graduate school from I started college as in photography and ended up in the School of Dance, and then got into stage production and performance art and whatnot. And I was going to go to Santa Cruz for writing, video, and dance, a triple whammy. And
threat,
I'm so
yeah.
happy to be finally getting back to writing because it's such a part of me. And since we're on this path, thanks to Facebook Gallery and my throwback gallery, I found my Ohio State Fair honorable mention poem, which you can see how lovely the writing is there.
Oh, look at that.
Embarrassment. Embarrassment is red. It looks like a covered face. It smells like a fresh onion. It sounds like a quiet room. It tastes like sour cheese. It feels like a rubber cake. You have it.
I love that ending about the rubber cake. Where was this written?
It's 80s Ohio. I don't have a date on it, so it was early 80s.
Ooh.
Sometime I was probably, I don't know, 10, 12, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to have to find out when I wrote it. I probably have the ribbon in a box that has a date on it somewhere buried in storage. So that's, I was amazed that I found this
I love
and
it.
put it up there. But it's
I love
definitely
it.
probably somewhere in the 78. If I was like 10 to 12, like 78 to 82. Ohio State World's Fair, maybe.
No, I
It
love
was
it.
younger.
Embarrassment.
Not a clue. It was little wee Wendy.
But guess what? That poem is so relevant still because you just perfectly describe what embarrassment is. And what's worse than a rubber cake, because it looks pretty, but you can't eat it. Like there's no
Yeah,
real value in it, So
it's a
no,
little toxic. If you chew on it too long, it's a little toxic, right?
just a little bit, just a little bit.
Especially if it was made back then.
Ooh, yeah, Rubbermaid products.
Twinkies are still good though, right?
Speaking of Twinkies, sidebar. So I have a nearly perfect memory, and I had a Twinkie for the first time a couple of years ago. They changed the formula.
Ooh.
They changed the formula, and when I did my research, the company changed also. So they got bought out by someone else, and that company, the new parent company, decided to cut down on the natural products to increase profitability. But me, I could tell right away. I'm like, why is so? You can taste the sweetness, but there's no layers of the vanilla or the the nice texture. I'm like, yeah, tricky.
No, when I reclaimed my palate from all of the, numbing my pain with and my magic, numbing down my pain and my magic with alcohol and social vices that are accepted, and
Yes.
I returned to eating real food, and reclaimed my palate, because once you're free from the sugar, salts, and trans fats and artificial ingredients, you
It's
can
a
actually
beautiful
taste
thing.
the vegetables.
Yes.
Everyone's like, it doesn't taste good. Well, it doesn't taste good because
There's
your
no sugar.
mouth, your taste buds are under this veil that they have designed so that you buy more and get less from what you're eating, so that you need to eat more, so that you get less. Where if you can reclaim that palate and taste these vibrant flavors of, the fresh grown heirloom varieties, or those spices you were referring to, when they come together to make that perfect bouquet, when you can taste the difference in things I used to love, like a little Dove chocolate. I remember the first time I ate it and could taste the chemicals in it versus a pure organic dark chocolate. And I'm like, wow.
Yes, big
And you
difference.
get real specific about coffee and things. And you don't eat those things anymore because they don't taste good.
No, that is so true. We have become so used to manufactured foods. That's why I thank God every day for having been raised in the Caribbean, between St. Martin, St. Kitts, Saba, Anguilla, Puerto Rico. I've not been to Haiti as yet, or Jamaica, so those are on my list. But growing up in the Caribbean, where you have a banana tree outside your window, or you'll have fresh herbs growing in the garden, or you can walk up the hill a little bit and there's a mango tree with fresh fruits, and you could just climb and pick and eat. Or you go to the market and there's the fishermen coming in with their catch, and everyone's, when you hear they say that, a fisherman's wife or the fishing, it's a real scene. Everyone's yelling for snapper and jacks and everything, and you scale the fish, and the freshness of it all. Taking potatoes from the ground and dusting them off, or grabbing peanuts. And when you pull up the plant, you realize there's like dozens of peanuts attached to the roots, and you shake them, and you start to take them and you wash them off and you roast them and you eat them. That flavor, that whole sensation, I wish that for everyone, even my worst enemy, to have that palate again.
Blessings of the internet and these phones and these devices we were talking about earlier, is that now people they have encyclopedia YouTube and the how to, WikiHows and things, and there's so much how to grow yourself a little garden in your tiny New York apartment, right? In your tiny little shack or wherever you are. How to, catch water and make water with a leaf, with the dew, and, all of these things that you can learn how to survive and thrive.
Yes, that's
with
important.
What you have, where you are.
You have to do something.
Being grateful.
Every little thing you do matters. Every little thing you do matters. If you grow a garlic or an avocado pit, just from a little pot, every bit counts, because that life reaffirms your life also.
Yes. I have an avocado pit from an avocado that I ate in a bowl over in the other room, and it's a long little thing with some leaves at the top now. It's taken a long time, and
there we go.
you know,
Yeah, they take like
might
5
live
years.
longer than me and be a great big tree.
They take
I
5
am
years to grow.
incredibly
So
blessed to have an orange tree in the backyard right now, and I've taken some kitchen scraps and thrown them in the dirt, and I'm waiting to see if some of them take. Some lemon seeds that I tossed here and there have turned into little sproutings. Some of them have died and some of them are taking, but it's just that kind of putting back in and around. And this nature has so much to teach us about resilience and going through the things that we've been through, like, you know, your journey through COVID and the job loss and the familial situations and the struggles and the, you know, my journey of the past 3 years from, you know, financial recovery to complete collapse, and then losing my mother and my father, and just continuing to show up and continuing to, you know, as the quote says, it's often attributed to Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. And I think
you can't stop.
Famous Amos, Willie Amos, cookie guy, said, one of his friends had said something like, if you're going through hell, don't stop to take photos.
That's it. That is it. And so that's one of the concepts I put into my book. And before I leave, remind me to read a poem. This peace that we are looking for, this peace that we want to have within us, nature shows us how to do it. Because one of my favorite books is The Universe is a Green Dragon by Brian Swim. And in it, he talks about the difference between humanity and the universe is just the perspective, right? So we appreciate the universe because the universe is immense and there's stars and planets and it's gorgeous. And the universe appreciates us because we have choice and we're beautiful and we have spirit and so forth. So it's all us looking back at each other. And to find the peace within yourself, with your faith, you realize that God has placed things around us, organic things, natural cycles, the heavens, that shows us how we can be closer to Him and also understand our purpose in life. And sometimes you have to take a break. You go to the beach, you go to the river, you go hiking, climb a mountain, you take a hike, but in a good way.
Look out the window or look at some nature on your device if you can't get anywhere or get up.
Exactly. So if you look closely at the book cover, you'll see in the background, that's actually a picture I took of some trees, and I was lying down on the ground looking up, and the sunlight was filtering through the leaves and through the branches. So I said, hold up now, this is so peaceful, I could sleep here. Well, I couldn't because ants were biting me, but that's another story.
Yes,
but
not where
I
the
said,
fire ants are.
This is what I want. I want people to take a book like this and see the cover and get a reminder. Like, if you don't buy it, this will remind you, look at this green, what's that? Ooh, I want to go outside. I want to see fall. I want to see a pine tree, a coconut tree. I want to see nature.
I want to be a part of the nature that is me. There's that reconnecting. Yes, I love it. I'm so glad we had this chance and you showed up and you were here and I'm learning more about you. I can't wait for more. I would like for you to go ahead and read that poem because we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. And I'm excited. I'm super happy. I'm excited. I'm going to have to hop off and get on my writer workshop. So writing.
I wish you the best on that.
Let me arrive. Let me calm down and.
So here's what we do. What I do whenever I go live with anyone and I'm the guest. Thank you again for this opportunity. My poem book, Inner Sanctum, Protecting My Peace Through Poetry, has 30 poems. So I'm going to ask you to pick a number and I'll read that particular poem based on the number you select. 1 through 30. Go ahead.
11 is what came to mind first, although I almost switched to 3 because 3 is the magic number.
Ooh, okay. You have to choose one though. Which one, 11 or 3?
Let's do 3 because I'm in volume 3 of Rattled Awake, which is the workshop I'm about to do. I was born on the 3rd, and 3 is the magic number.
So number 3 is Act 3, You Exist, and the third poem of the book is called CV Me. I actually love that. Wow, this is going to be a nice one. Okay, here we go. CV Me. 16 bars on a dead man's chest. Drink and the devil has done for the rest. I am majestic. I am eclectic. I challenge the whole family to spit it for a minute and don't quit it. Put your entire life story for the world to see. Excuse me while I CV me, born on a rock in the sea. Now you see why I rock with industry. Get up in the shadow of MLK's legacy. If I burn out young, there is no reason to envy me. Took the blue and the white all the way. Got 4 1s and 2 2s on my CXCs. What would make me subjugate myself? Spinning for so long, bottles on a shelf. My best 1-4-16 since sweet 16. My wife is twice as nice and just as mean. The 599-722 raised me. 305 mind me. The 954 paid me. Who's next to braid me? Praise me on a totem. Running for the kid. Don't know what he did. My best friend was David Dodd Blackie. Blind as a bat, great with paint Ralphie. Years later. Friends, SM University. Indian food, Tracy, Theo, Minnie, Gabby, Amy, Miss Laws, English, poetry. Philly was hot, fireworks popping. Janet stayed up all night, fireworks, anime watching. Landing on the same day I was born, had steak and fries, first time with corn. My aunt is gone. Granny followed first, promised. Angie, sorry, I missed the hearse. Ran unopposed, made a good point. RA to RA, Caribbean lift, not for a good joint. No, here we are. Don't know where I can find Rocky, the Trini posse. I don't need anyone to rescue me, SIP. I'm still waiting for the universe to call me. CV Me, Act 3, poem number 3, Inner Sanctum, Protecting My Peace Through Poetry. That was a great choice, Wendy.
Took me on a journey. Thank you. Woo! Awesome.
Blessings.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this time. I am looking forward to learning more about what you're doing and watching for more wonderful content about self-publishing. And if anybody out there is interested, get in touch with Dwight, right? He's open to connect cross-platform.
Please do.
I showed you that a little while ago.
Please do. Come on now. Now, here's what's so crazy, Wendy. I finally took the guts, thanks to people like you and folks on this LinkedIn platform like Annie and Ashley. I'm going to start my own audio rooms. And the first one coming up is going to be my author's showcase. So once or twice a month, it'll be myself and another author talking about the behind the scenes, the writing process, what their book is about, why did they write the book, and what message do they hope their book inspires or brings to others. So
wonderful.
You'll see it.
I look forward to that. A lot of us are becoming authors, and I know I'm connected with a whole lot of authors, and I'm going to be exposed to a whole new world of authors and more reading. And yay, reading is wonderful.
And listen,
what a great.
One thing I always want to tell folks, so I know everyone sees the ads, spend X amount of dollars and get X amount of books or whatever. Do your research. I self-publish all my books and I don't spend any money on marketing. explains why I have very little sales. That's a separate conversation. But I designed everything myself, the book cover, the formatting, and everything. If you can do everything yourself and publish. That's the way the industry is set up now. So you don't pay anyone to publish for you. You publish your own book, you keep your rights, you keep your licensing, and you keep your royalties. And that's the way self-publishing should work. And I'm a big fan, before we leave, Wendy, your family who talks about their past, the grandparents, the uncles of where they've been and their travels, record them, make a family memoir that you can present at the next family reunion. It costs virtually nothing. You can do it yourself with Microsoft Word or Google Docs if you insist, and an Amazon or Kindle account, and go ahead and, convert it to a PDF, upload the book. You can download it or get copies, physical copies for like $4 as the author of record, and have fun with it.
The Right Warrior. Follow, subscribe, and self-publish. That was a great tip to close this out on. Document and retain these and put them together, and it's a wonderful way. Otherwise, then you'll have things like this embarrassment poem on you can see the tape marks on the paper, because this is the paper I wrote on that is taped onto a red piece of construction paper. So it is weathering time quite well. So connect with Dwight. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, everybody and anybody is welcome to Fri-YAY. Come share, come make it a wonderful Friday next week. Meanwhile, go read some poems and connect with people and share and celebrate. Give yourself grace. Be gracious to others. Spread kindness like confetti. Every day's a yay day if you make it that way. Bye.